Okay, so my vocal range today. Sorry. Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to be figuring out what your vocal range is, which means you will know which famous artist you can identify with as a singer. So, are you a Johnny Cash? Are you an Adele? Are you a Bruno Mars? I don't know, but we're about to find out, so let's dive in. Okay, before we dive in, we need to talk a little bit about how vocal ranges are identified. So a vocal range refers to the very lowest note you can sing to the very highest note you can sing. And so every note has a letter name, which is based off the alphabet. So you're gonna see on the screen, we've got a keyboard here, and we've got all these notes, and they've got numbers attached to them. So that's because in the musical alphabet, we move from A to G, and then we repeat again. So we've got multiple A's. That's why they have numbers. So the lowest A would be called A, well, it's actually technically A0, but the one we're gonna talk about is A1, and then it goes all the way up from there. So as we go through this, you're going to sing a note, you're gonna see what it's called, and then you'll be able to identify what the lowest note that you can sing is. And you'll notice some of the black keys have like a crazy hashtag sign, or this like squished up B, those refer to sharps or flats. There are ways that we identify the black keys. We're not gonna get into that right now because this isn't a theory lesson. Now you know what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it. Let's dive in. Okay, so here's our first note. We call this A3. And you're gonna sing A3. And then we're just gonna keep on going down and down and down until you find the very lowest note that you can sing well. It doesn't count if you're like, it has to be like a sung note. So here we go. I'll sing with you as far as I can. So if you're still singing, you got a low voice. If you can match these notes, you got a super low voice. And if you're still going, then you deserve an award. Okay, so identify the lowest note that you could sing and then write it down on a piece of paper, and we're gonna figure out what your highest note is now. So we'll start here. This is C4, and we'll keep going up. I'm gonna sing along for a little bit. Need to breathe. You keep going. It doesn't have to sound pretty, but you do have to be able to sing the note. This is getting super high. Keep going. So I would stop before that point because I didn't sing that well. But maybe you're still singing. Maybe you got these whistle tone notes. I'm gonna go up to this next C and then we're gonna stop there because if you can sing higher than that, then there you go. Okay, so what was your highest note? Now that you know your vocal range, let's figure out what famous singer your vocal range most closely matches. Low voices, super low voices. Chances are like you're somewhere from E2-ish to E4-ish as the very highest note. That would be like a Johnny Cash or a Leonard Cohen. If you have sort of a mid-range lower voice, we're still looking at the lower voices here, but the middle of the low voice range, that sits from like an A2 to an A4-ish, that would be like a John Mayer or a Nat King Cole. If you have what would be considered a higher part of the lower voices, so like tenor, that would be like C3 to C5-ish. You could be like an Adam Levine or a Bruno Mars or a Bryan Adams. Now, if you have a range which is like E3 to E5, you would be comparable to artists like Lana Del Rey, Tracy Chapman, and Cher. If your range sits most comfortably between the land of, F3 to F5-ish, that would be like Patsy Cline, Adele, Ella Fitzgerald. Finally, our highest voices, which tend to go from about A3 to A5 and beyond, that would be like a Mariah Carey or an Ariana Grande, maybe a Celine Dion. And there you go. You've got a whole bunch of different vocal ranges that you can kind of compare your voice to see where yours most naturally sits and which singers match up to that range. Okay, so now you know what your vocal range is, you know what famous singer your vocal range matches up to, and you can go and have some fun listening to those artists for inspiration, maybe learning some of their songs, and maybe researching other artists that have similar ranges to what you have. And I just have to say, vocal range is kind of a hot topic. There are different schools of thought on what specifically qualifies the lowest possible voice, and how those sort of all sit and where they all fit. And I did my best to create a generalized approach. So generally speaking, if you have the ranges we discussed today, you would fit in with the singers that we match them up to. But that doesn't mean to say you can't increase your range. That doesn't mean to say that just because most of your comfortable notes are between two specific notes, that that's as far as you can go. There's always room to build and grow and develop your voice. And lastly, and possibly the most important part of this lesson is, every voice is unique and deserves to be celebrated. There are famous singers, iconic singers, that represent all of the ranges that we looked at today, that represent the lowest, the middles, the highest voices, and they've managed to make careers. They've established names for themselves based on their unique voices. So I want you to love your unique voice, celebrate it, have fun practicing and singing. Comment below if you have questions, let us know what your range is, and we'll see you around.